Hola a todos! Today I want to continue my little series about time management and how I'm organizing my to-do list. Last time I showed you how my everyday work progresses, so when I'm really working off tasks. Today I want to show you what I call planning mode, which is stepping back a little bit and really looking at why am I doing all those things, where am I heading, what are my priorities. And I think this is really important because you can go off in both directions. So I've seen people who are very good planners who would have goals and plan for the future, what will be happening when they've achieved their wonderful goals. But they sometimes never get to the point to really do the things to get there. On the other hand, I've met people who are working and working, checking up of one task after another, really being very productive and doing things, but they still never seem to achieve anything. And I think this is often a question of priority. So we get so many messages, people ask us to do things change. So we are always working up off our to-do list, but sometimes we really have to redefine our priorities and really know why we are doing these things. So today I show you more the planning side, but the important thing is really to keep a balance of those two. So I usually like to do the planning part on Fridays, sometimes also a bit more intensively at the end of the month. But that depends a little bit also on how much I have to do and in what kind of working mode I am. So this is again my old to-do list. In this case, I'm not first of all looking into the tasks. Let's first go into the properties. This kind of planning mode is usually at the time when I'm adding new time sections. In this particular case, I would not add anything because the week is basically over. Next week will be a vacation week. And then the week after that already is expanded into days. Usually I would go for the week after that, but in this case, it's so far away, I wouldn't do that. So I would leave that for later. So in this case, I wouldn't change it, but usually I would add the time sections that I think would have to be added. So this is when I would switch to categories and look at my categories. So for planning mode, the categories are really important for me. If you are using a note-taking tool to organize your to-do list, you won't have these categories usually. Most of the time you might have them in your head. Sometimes when I was still using a note-taking tool, I would just make a list really for me to see, hey, what are the things that I'm really working on? Why am I doing the things that I'm doing? So I would just look, in this case, through the categories, how much I have to do for each of them. So here I see two where there's nothing to do really. In this case, I would delete them. That doesn't mean I would delete every category that has no tasks in it right now, because there might be things coming up, but those two might be something that I don't need anymore. There might be others. This one would stay because I really want to do that sooner or later. So I would go through this list and maybe also put things together. So maybe I would combine two categories into one. So this is like something there's only one. Maybe I could just get that into the front end or something like this. So I would spend some time on this to look through those categories and see, hey, which of them are important for me. And it's not so much about how many tasks are in which category, but more like, is this still important for me? Is this still a topic that I want to work on? Is this something that needs to be done soon? Maybe it's something that has to wait for longer. So here I have this moon info that means sleeping. So sometimes I also put things to sleep when I know I won't have the time to do them anytime soon. So when I go back to my task list, I see that, well, this is a bit too much for one day, definitely. So I would just sort those things by category. Again, if you're not using todoListo, you can go through the list and manually move them around. So you have things grouped together that belong together. And yeah, that's definitely too much. So I would see, just color-wise, these orange-yellow things are bookkeeping things, stuff that I usually do on a Friday. So that would stay. But I would need to find a new home for those. And these are like todoListo stuff. And then there's the question here, where can I put this? And these are like the hard parts when you realize you simply don't have the time. So when I look at the upcoming weeks, so okay, this is vacation, I don't want to work. Then I have the next 3 weeks already planned pretty clearly. So I have a specific topic for each of these weeks, and there are already quite a few tasks in here. And it's just clear that this is not going to work. And there are now 2 options that I have. I can say, hey, this bigger topic is more important. I will go with this. And all those little things that have been left over from this week or the last weeks could go into the last week of September, like really way back, and that's it. In this case, I mean, it's always hard to decide. I like to clean off those little tasks now and then. So I try to find a balance to, like, 1 week is for little stuff just to get them off my list, and then starting something bigger, which will, you know, result in more little things that have to get cleaned up later. So finding a mix is, I think, the important thing. So in this case, I would probably just move those things 1 week later. So I would actually delete probably this week, just rename those sections into, you know, the week after, so that I create space in this week, in this first week of September, for the things that I have not managed to do. So this would be the result. These tasks that I had on my list are now in the first week of September. I gave this the label clean up dirt. This is really the picture that I have in my mind. So often you just, you know, when you don't clean your house, things pile up, you get more dirt. And at some point you just have to clean it out, and then you feel better. It's not a great process. I mean, cleaning is not the most agreeable task, but when you're done, you will feel so much better. And then you will be in the position to tackle the bigger things. Yeah, so this is what I like to do on end of week, end of month, to get a better overview of my tasks. I have to admit that I sometimes have to keep myself from overdoing this, because I actually enjoy this planning mode quite a bit. But yeah, so I hope maybe you can take some of this over to your personal way of working with your to-do list. I think it depends very much on the type of person you are. Some people are more on the planning side and have to make sure that, you know, you also get something done, not only planning. On the other hand, there are people who work a lot, but sometimes forget to get this bigger picture. So yeah, observe yourself. What type of person are you? In which trap are you going more often? And of course, it's not, with planning, you cannot clean up everything. So for me, this helps to really know, okay, I have a home for my tasks, and then I can enjoy my life. But sometimes this is not enough. Sometimes you just have too much to do, and you won't find a spot where you can nicely put your tasks. And we're already at a very harsh limit here in this example. So in the next video, I'm going to show you what I do when it really just gets too much, and these standard methods of working things off and moving things to the next day and getting a little bit of an overview just don't work anymore. I hope to see you then, and hasta luego.